Hello students, welcome to the course on analog and digital communication system, and the course code is EC501. This is the course for BTech 5th semester EC students. Myself, Dr. Shurojit Bosak, Assistant Professor of EC Department, Guru Nanak Institute of Technology, Kolkata. And this is my official email address. Now today we are starting lecture number 5 from the fourth module, that is signal vector representation. In the last class, we have completed signal space analysis. And now today we are starting another chapter in this module, which is called inter-symbol interference. And the lesson objective of this topic is study the effects of inter-symbol interference, which is abbreviated as ISI, and compare I pattern analysis. And this topic is mapped with CO number 2 and CO number 4. So let us start lecture number 5 of inter-symbol interference. Before moving to the discussion of what is ISI, why ISI can occur, let us start the discussion of pulse transmission, how a pulse is transmitted in a band limited channel. So in all the digital systems, the pulses are transmitted from the transmitter to receiver, but the channels carrying these pulses never have enough bandwidth required to ensure the preservation of the shape of the pulses. And the such channels are called band limited channels. Here in this figure, the figure depicts the output of a band limited channel when a narrow square pulse is applied at the input. And this figure shows that the band limited channel tends to spread the narrow pulses. This produces secondary lobes as shown in the figure. The secondary lobes are also called as ringing tails. So this figure shows the energy distribution in the output of a band limited channel, and the primary lobe consists of basically the 90% energy, and the bandwidth of the channel is B equal to 1 by T, and the maximum bit rate supported by the channel, which is denoted as R, which is equal to twice the bandwidth requirement of the channel. This is the basic baseband binary data transmission system. Here, the input binary data, which is denoted as BK, it goes to the pulse generator, where a square pulse is generated and denoted as XT. Then it goes to the transmitting filter, and after that it goes to the channel, and in the channel some noise is added. We assume that the noise is white Gaussian noise, and it goes to the receiving filter. And here sampling is taken at t equal to TB, and after sampling the signal is denoted as Y1T, and then it goes to a decision device, and where a threshold is applied. That means you have to find out whether the transmitted signal is 1 or 0. We normally transmitted here the energetic pattern data. So a threshold is applied. If threshold exceeds, then assume that 1 is transmitted, and if otherwise, signal 0 is transmitted. Therefore, when the data is being transmitted in the form of pulses, the output produced at the receiver due to other bits or symbols interfere with the output produced by the desired bit. This is known as inter-symbol interference. The input signal consists of a binary data sequence BK with a bit duration of TB seconds. This sequence is applied to a pulse generator to produce a discrete PAM signal, which is given by xt is equal to summation over k equal to minus infinity to plus infinity ak p t minus k tb. Again, I am repeating, the sequence by bk is applied to a transmitting pulse generator, and from the output of the pulse generator we can get a discrete PAM signals, which is denoted as xt equal to ak pt minus ktb, where pt is the basic pulse shape and ak are the coefficients. Now, if in this case, if bk is equal to 1, then ak, that is, we are considering that the data bk is a unipolar energetic format. If bk is equal to 1, then ak is 1, and if bk is 0, then we consider that ak is equal to minus 1. That means it is basically a polar energetic signal, and the output from the receiving filter is yt is equal to this signal is multiplied by mu plus nt. So here mu is a constant factor, which is called basically the scaling factor, and in the receiving filter obviously some noise is added in the channel, so that noise part comes in the receiving filter. So the output of the receiving filter yt is equal to mu into summation over k equal to minus infinity to plus infinity ak p t minus k tb plus some noise, added noise. The receiving filter output is sampled at time ti equal to I tb. Then we get y is equal to ti YTI is equal to mu, just I put ITB in place of T, or here it is NTI. So after sampling, the output is YTI is equal to mu summation over k equal to minus infinity to plus infinity AK P ITB minus KTB plus NTI. So that just I extract the term from this summation expression when k equal to I. So that is mu AI plus the second term as it is mu summation over k equal to minus infinity to plus infinity AK P ITB minus KTB plus NTI. And obviously k not equal to I. So the first term, that is it has actually two terms. The first term, that is the mu AI, it is produced by the ith transmitted bit, and theoretically only this term should be present. However, practically it does not happen. And the second term represents the residual effect of all transmitted bits obtained at the time of sampling the ith bit. And this residual effect is known as inter-symbol interference. This is not our desired. This is the residual effect of all other bits. That is called actually inter-symbol interference. So, what are the factors responsible for ISI? When a short pulse of duration TB seconds is transmitted through a band limited system, then the frequency components contained in the input pulse are differentially attenuated, and more importantly, differentially delayed by the system. Due to this, the pulse appearing at the output of the system is dispersed. That means its time period is longer than TB. Now, due to this dispersion, the symbols of each of duration TB will interfere with each other when transmitted over the communication channel. This will result an inter-symbol interference. So, see, say it is data is transmitted, and after transmission through a system, the time it is dispersed. Again, for 0, it is dispersed. So, for a data, see, say the data, original data is 0, 1, 1, 0, 1. So, for 1, it is, say, for this 1 and 1, these data are dispersed after the transmission channel. So, some portions are overlapped with each other. Okay, I am now repeating again. So, when a signal is transmitted through a transmission system, it automatically dispersed. That means its time period is longer than TB. TB is the basic bit duration. So, here suppose 1 is transmitted, and after transmission system, it is dispersed. Similarly, for 0, again it is dispersed. So when a long sequence of 1 and zeros are transmitted, say, suppose here 2 consecutive 1s are transmitted. So for 1, again it is dispersed, and this 1 after transmission, again it is dispersed. So some portions are overlapped with each other. This portion overlapping regions is called inter-symbol interference. Now the question is how to remove the ISI part. It is not our desire. So the remedy to reduce the ISI is which is discussed in the next slide. It has been provided that the function which produces a zero ISI is basically a sinc pulse or sinc function. Hence, instead of a rectangular pulse, if we transmit a sinc pulse, then ISI can be reduced to 0. And this is called Nyquist pulse shaping. Further, we know that the Fourier transform of a sinc pulse is basically a rectangular function. Hence, to preserve all the frequency components, the frequency response of the filter must be exactly flat in the pass band and 0 in the attenuation band. Say here in the pass band, the frequency response is exactly flat, and outside this, it's 0. So what is the Nyquist criterion for distortionless baseband binary transmission? So the basic concept of Nyquist criteria is, in absence of ISI, we have YTI equal to mu into AI, just only the first term. This expression shows that under these conditions, the ith transmitted bit can be decoded correctly. In order to minimize the effects of ISI, we have to design the transmitting and receiving filters properly. The transfer function of the channel and the shape of the transmitted pulse are generally specified. Therefore, it becomes the first step towards design of filters. From this information, we have to determine the transfer function of the transmitting and receiving filter to reconstruct the transmitted data sequence BK. This is achieved by first extracting and then decoding the corresponding sequence of weights from the output YT. Then YT is equal to mu into summation over k equal to minus infinity to plus infinity AK P T minus K TB. Then is the extraction part. Extraction means basically the process of sampling. So the signal YT is sampled at T equal to IF TB. Then the part is decoding. The decoding should be such that the contribution of the weighted pulse that is AK into P ITB minus KTB for I equal to K be free from ISI. That means P of ITB minus KTB is 1 when I equal to K, and it is 0 for I not equal to K. So if PT, the received pulse, satisfies the above expression, then the receiver output reduces to YTI is equal to mu into AI, which indicates zero ISI in absence of noise. So this is the mathematical expression for indicating zero ISI in absence of noise. Next is the frequency domain representation. This is the main part of this section. Let us consider that the sequence of samples is represented by PNTB after the process of extraction. The frequency domain representation of PNTB is denoted as P of delta F, which is Fourier transform of P of NTB equal to RB into summation over n equal to minus infinity to plus infinity PF minus NRB. It is as simple, where RB is equal to 1 by TB, that is the bit rate. Now, P delta F also represent the Fourier transform of an infinite periodic sequence of unit impulses whose trains are weighted by the respective sample values of PT. Therefore, P of delta F is equal to minus infinity to plus infinity summation over m equal to minus infinity to plus infinity P of MTB, just simply the Fourier transform. Delta T minus MTB into e to the power minus j 2 pi ft dt. Now, let us consider that m equal to I minus k. Now, if I equal to k, then m equal to 0. And if I not equal to k, then obviously m not equal to 0. Now, for m equal to 0, P of delta F is like that. P0, first term P0, then is the delta T into e to the power minus second term M0, that means delta T e to the power minus j 2 pi ft dt, and it is over integration minus infinity to plus infinity. See this expression, which is for m equal to 0. Now, using the shifting property of the delta function, we have P of delta F is same as P0, which is equal to 1. Therefore, this Fourier transform, that is RB into summation over n equal to minus infinity to plus infinity Pf minus nRB, that is equal to 1 because P delta F is 1. So that part is 1. So therefore, summation over n equal to minus infinity to plus infinity P of F minus nRB equal to 1 by RB, which is same as TB. So this red light expression is called the Nyquist criteria for distortionless baseband transmission in absence of noise. Then what is ideal solution? So the Nyquist criteria for distortionless baseband binary transmission, what is the ideal solution for this? Now the left hand side of the expression, that is P of F minus nRB represents a series of shifted spectrum. Now for n equal to 0, the LHS corresponds to PF and it represents a frequency function with the narrowest band. The range of frequencies for PF will extend from minus B0 to plus B0, where B0 corresponds to the half the bit rate. That means B0 is equal to RB by 2. Therefore, the PF will be 1 by 2B0 into rect function, that is the Fourier transform of a sinc pulse is basically a rectangular pulse, already I described. So here it is a rect pulse of the argument F by 2B0. And this is the spectrum of a signal which produces 0 ISI. This is the spectrum. So the PT is the inverse Fourier transform of PF, which is the inverse Fourier transform of this rect function 1 by 2B0 rect function. So which is actually sine 2 pi B0 t by 2 pi B0 t. So which is again it is sine pi x by x. So it is like a sinc function. So mathematically also it is proved that sinc pulse, if I transmit the sinc pulse rather than the square wave, then we will get 0 ISI. And the sinc pulse whose spectrum is basically a square wave. So mathematically it is proved here. Although it gives the ideal solution or 0 ISI, still some difficulties or disadvantages are present. So in the next class, we discuss on the difficulties and how to solve this ISI factor using another solution which is called another type of spectrum which is called basically raised cosine spectrum. Okay. So let's stop now. I'm ending the session. Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much.